I'd like to introduce Senator Eddie Lucio. This year, Senator Eddie Lucio is Vice Chair on Finance. He's on the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee, the Criminal Justice Committee, Natural Resources, Redistricting, and Select Committee on Transportation and Homeland Security. Senator Lucio.
I'm smiling because I think Juan Hinojosa sits on those committees. Where are you, Chuy? There you are. I am in finance. I serve in state affairs, business and commerce. I'm chairman of international relations and trade on redistricting and so on and so forth. I had a busy session. I want to thank all of you for an opportunity to join with you. Dorothy had it right, Mr. Chairman. She said, there's no place like home. And congratulations to you, Chairman McQuarrie, for your work and your efforts in making McAllen even greater than it has been in the past. I think the Mayor Cortez set the stage. He certainly said it like it was, like it has been over the last few months. I appreciate Commissioner Barrera's comments as well in terms of being away from our community, our families, our businesses. But we're there for a purpose, and that's to echo the sentiments and to reflect on what you as a community would like for us to support, for us to get behind and hopefully be successful with. I too want to be very honest with you today. Ultimately, we have to judge a session by its budget, the budget that it produced. By that measurement, this was a very bad session. I've been there 24 years, 4 years in the House, so I have a greater respect for my colleagues in the House, Representative Peña, and those that are here today. 20 years in the Senate, and I been very proud to represent not only Hidalgo County, but especially this community over that 20-year span. I gave up some of the McAllen area to my good friend after the 2000 census so that we could have another senator here from the Valley, and it happened. Juan Hinojosa joined us, and it's been great working with him. The easiest decision, by the way, I didn't want to give up this area because there's a nice country club next door. I like to play golf once every 6 months. The easiest decision, actually, that I made in Austin, ladies and gentlemen, was voting against the budget. Let me tell you why. It was bad for the state, but it was even worse for the Valley. It was so bad the Senate leadership had to bypass cherished traditions like the two-thirds rule in order to pass their agenda. And I think I'm talking to a very intelligent group here. I don't have to elaborate on the two-thirds rule as we have it in the Senate. The two-thirds rule, in my opinion, allows us to come up with consensus and compromise and find middle ground so that we can do what's right for all the people in our state and take people's input seriously. But this budget contained nearly $1 billion in cuts to higher education, $4 billion in cuts to public education, and over $6 billion in reduced funding to health and human services. Those cuts are going to have an impact here in the Valley, hurting our vital infrastructure like the Valley Medical School, UT Pan American, UT Brownsville, and other institutions of higher learning. Earlier in the session, I wrote an op-ed for the Texas Tribune, which talked about why we need what I call the pro-life budget, a budget that safeguards life from conception all the way through natural death. I am pro-life. In this way, budgets are moral documents expressing what we believe we owe to each other as Texans. I believe this budget shortchanges Texans both today and especially tomorrow. Let me give you an example. Severe cuts to the Texas Grants Program could mean that 40,000 fewer students may receive help with college. The Valley receives millions and millions of dollars. That's in, you can look at that in the Texas website, legislature's website. That's 40,000 future Texas leaders cut from the budget. It is also 40,000 highly skilled future workers cut from the global labor market. This will especially hurt the Valley, which has the most grant recipients as the state, as I just mentioned. This is a time when we should be investing in our workforce, our families, and our infrastructure. Cuts to an already lean budget are not good for Texans, and they are not good for Texas businesses. I don't know yet how many teachers are going home in August or September by, we estimate, anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 in my senatorial district alone and 31 school districts. And that's especially true here in the Valley, where we still have so much unlocked potential. We need a budget that puts the next generation ahead of the next election, as Mayor Cortez alluded to. We also need a state government that values the coast. I was not at all happy with House Bill 3, which dealt with the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, TWIA, we call it. House Bill 3 was supposed to be about our legislative response to TWIA's incompetence, corruptness. Policyholders should have been the ultimate beneficiary of this legislature, and they were not. Unfortunately, it was special interests, not public priorities, that shaped this bill. We had a good bill at one time. It was voted out of the Senate 31-0. Had a compromise bill, a good bill for all the stakeholders, especially policyholders. But then it went into the House, and it was torn down, not just by some of the leaders there, but the governor's office took part in it as well. But coastal residents continue to be the victims of a broken process without the same rights as people who live inland. Despite the bad budget in House Bill 3, there were some good bills that passed in Austin during the session. More importantly, there were some bad bills that died. I was proud to vote against sanctuary cities legislation. I'll be happy to elaborate later on in question and answer. But I want you to know that I will never vote for legislation that turns innocent people into criminal suspects. This kind of legislation is wrong, and it disrupts the business climate for both our region and our state. I was disappointed to see that southbound checkpoints legislation died after passing through the Senate. In closing, we need to stop the flow of guns and cash going into Mexico, technology, and everything that strengthens the cartel and the drug lords. Until we do, we have blood on our hands. DPS already has the authority to operate southbound checkpoints, but the bridges at the bridges for stolen vehicles, it makes sense to let them check for guns and cash too. I truly believe we can operate southbound checkpoints in a way that is effective and without disrupting trade. Again, I was pleased with some of the bills. Senate Bill 89 is a bill that I really wanted to see passed because it feeds hungry children at the summertime. I can give you some stories that would just make you cry about children in our own communities that are suffering from hunger with stomach pains. The only options, though, unfortunately, and that was a bright spot, but the sessions are always judged by the budget, and as I've said at the beginning, and this budget wasn't pro-life, and it wasn't pro-choice either. We had a place at the table. We spoke about what the needs were, but unfortunately, those recommendations didn't go anywhere. We left about $8 billion on the table in the rainy day fund. That will grow to over $10 billion by the year 2013. So many other issues, redistricting and others that took place this session that are important to us. And I know that some of the other representatives and Senator Hinojosa, I'm sure, will touch on some of those issues as well. I thank you for this opportunity. I'm happy to be home. Thank you.